Hello and welcome to Floss Workshop Art. Today we're going to be making an any year calendar. It works in the same way as a Rolodex does, in the way that the numbers and the months can be flipped over to reveal the next one. You have the choice of having the month and then the date, or the date and then the month. It's entirely up to you. So this one's my prototype, and as you can see I needed to make it a little bit longer on the end. Now it's held together by two little slots that are semicircles, and they ended up being 40 mils in from the end. Now I made this out of an old packaging envelope that I got, and it is 320 mils long all the way to the end of the tab and 240 mils wide. You need to divide the length of your piece of card into 5, the first being 75 mils, then 90, another 90, then 40, leaving 20 for the tabs, and score those very carefully so that they can bend and crease lovely and straight. The semicircles the slots are going to be, draw a line along the last section and measure in 40 mils from the end, and then 40 mils across for your slot, and then mark the centre. Do that at both ends. I used my circle wheel to draw my semicircles across, but if you don't have one of these, then you can use a compass. So you put the point of the compass into the centre of the circle, and then you line up your pencil to your markings on the edges of the circles and draw it round. You're then going to use a scalpel to cut in between the semicircles, making sure you don't cut through the tabs, and then use a pair of scissors to cut the tabs out. Use several less pressured cuts to cut through card rather than in one go, because it gives you a much cleaner finish. And if you use a metal ruler, it's not only safer, but you're going to get a cleaner edge as well. If you do have a plastic ruler and then you slip and you cut into it, not only will you cut your ruler, but every subsequent line after that is not straight. Slots for your semicircles to go into, fold your any year calendar round, and then just mark the edges like I'm doing here to show where the slot needs to start and finish. Between those marks, again using your metal rule and scalpel in the same way as you did before. sheets that were double-sided, and then I cut those ready for the dates and the months. The months were 120 mils wide and 45 mils deep, and the dates were 70 mils wide and 60 mils deep. Letters and numbers that I needed to make the calendar, I then separated them using water, tearing the tissue, and then applying those to the cards using a gel matte medium. For those of you who are not familiar with this technique, using a thin paintbrush with water and drawing onto tissue paper with that, you can easily separate anything that you may have printed onto tissue quite easily just by pulling it, and it automatically comes away. It's a really beautiful way of separating tissue because it gives you a really lovely feathered edge, and then that enables it to become a little bit less of a visible edge when you glue them onto whatever it is you're gluing them onto. I then made a cardboard jig so that I could place it over the top of each of the numbers and a separate one for the months, so that it's easy to punch in exactly the same place on each of the cards. I made them both so that the holes were 10 mils down into the card, but on the dates they were 15 mils in from the edge, and from the months they were 20 mils in from the edge. After putting all the months and the numbers in order, I then held them together using a hinged ring. These ones were 30 mils in diameter. Because the ring distance is different for the months and the dates, you're going to have 5 mils difference at the end of your calendar holder. So if you lay out your calendar dates and your calendar months and mark so that the slots are going to be 5 mils wide, make sure that the holes line up with where those slots are going to be. Double check that the ones that you've punched and put together in your rings are going to fit by offering that up. If you fold that in half, you can then snip with scissors down the lines, but you don't need to cut the bottoms. Push those little slots in, folding them down, and again you don't need to cut them away, just push them in. calendar months and 30 mils for the calendar days or dates, and that was because of the slight difference between the heights, so that when they hung they were a little bit more central into the calendar, and also because the rings were 30 mils in diameter. That seemed like it was the most comfortable and aesthetic place to put the rings. Then take your ringed calendar months and your calendar dates and pop those into the slots, and there you have it, your any year calendar. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I hope that you'll pop in again soon.